Starker Nation? Welcome back once again. This is your host, the G-Man, as we continue our 2015 NFL review. Today we're going to talk about those Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I am a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I love the organization. I love the way they do things. I will tell you that having spent some time in Pittsburgh, though not from Pittsburgh, people who think Philadelphia fans are obnoxious should go spend some time in Pittsburgh or at a bar in their local area when Pittsburgh people are there. Pittsburgh fans are the most obnoxious fans this side of New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles fans. They are entitled. They can't believe when they don't win. They love to point to the fact that they won six rings. I do love, by the way, the phrase Sixburg. That's fantastic. But they're quick to go to that well whenever you question anything that they may have done at a given time. So they're a very obnoxious fan base. And I think it applies to most of their sports other than baseball, just because the Pirates were so beaten down for so long. Penguins fans are horrible and impossible to stomach as well. But I digress. Let's talk about the Steelers, who I do like, and find out what went right. First, what went right was offensively, they could do no wrong. They lost Le'Veon Bell for the year, and it didn't slow them down one bit. They had horrible injuries. D'Angelo Williams steps right in, and there's no problem at all. Big Ben, fantastic. Antonio Brown, and he's a guy who I called as a diamond in the rough years ago when he came out in the draft, and I still like to hold it over everybody's head that I was right about him. Little sixth-round pick, just a dynamic playmaker. Not afraid, catches everything, phenomenal in the open field. Antonio Brown may be one of my top 3 favorite players in the league. I love watching him play. There are other supplemental wide receivers. When one would go down with an injury or a stupidity suspension, we'll talk more about that in a little bit, another one would step up. So offensively, they were in great shape. And I think D'Angelo Williams and Big Ben helped to cover some of their offensive line woes that they have because they're both just so damn good. Defensively, they pressure the quarterback. It's funny. It's still the way they play. They have different coordinators, different coaches. They believe in a certain system, and they still put pressure on the quarterback. They're young outside linebackers, the Shaziers and the Joneses of the world, finally started to play up to their abilities. They are young, they are fast, and they hit you hard when they get there with a purpose. So that all went right. There was a lot that went right for a team that once again made the playoffs. What went wrong? Injuries were horrible for this team. I can't believe they did as well as they did. When they lost Le'Veon Bell, who would have been their version of Arian Foster, who caught everything, ran everything, was the centerpiece of their offense, went down, I really thought they were in trouble. I've always been a D'Angelo Williams fan, but I didn't think he had that much left. So the fact that they were able to win with him speaks volumes about their team. They lose offensive linemen like they're going out of style. They constantly have offensive line injuries. They have defections. They have retirements. Just so many injuries. Big Ben is always hurt for 2 games a year, and this year was no different. They just seemed to motor on. The other thing that went wrong on the field was their defensive backfield. They can't cover anybody one-on-one. If you can put them in a position where their pass rush can't get there and they have to cover for 4 seconds down the field, they're in big trouble. Now, they can outscore you, as they proved quite a bit this year. That's how they won many of their games, was outscoring other teams. But put into a defensive battle, they're simply not built to do that. Moving forward, what happens with the Steelers? Well, I love their coach. He did some crazy-ass shit this year with the 2-point conversions and when to go for him. And I think he thought he would be revolutionary and figure out this whole missed extra point thing long before anybody else did. It didn't work out. He would go for a 2 when he shouldn't, go for 1 when he should go for 2. He didn't seem to have his finger on the pulse, but I do like his aggressiveness. I think he relates to guys. I think he's a really good head coach, and I wish him well. I like the way he coaches, and I want to see him do well. So I think more of the same. I think this is a team, if they can get a little offensive line help in the draft, and pick up corners, whether it's in free agency, whether it's in the draft, whether they trade with somebody. They need a starting corner, and they need a third corner. And I think you compare it with some of the other guys they have to get away with as a second starter. But if you can do that, this team is well equipped for a deep run. I think Big Ben still has another Super Bowl win in him. I think he is a transcendent quarterback. I think he will go down eventually if he wins that third as one of the top 10 to 12 quarterbacks of all time. And I think he deserves it. I think they have all the talent in the world. I also love their offensive coordinator, who is aggressive but not crazy. He knows when to run the ball, knows when he wants to throw, knows when to take the air out of it. He just knows the ebb and flow in an NFL game. Even if he's a total jerk off, he knows what he's doing as a coach. So, with your 2015 review of the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is the G-Man, and I am out.